Hey, so I've been asked to do a video. Okay. Basically, Facebook, I thought they'd like sabotaged me because they converted my personal profile into a public figure page, and I lost all my content, all my videos, all my pictures from the last 5 years. They sent them to an email address that I can't access anymore. So I'm pretty gutted, but I do think everything happens for a reason. So I'm just rolling with it for now. I haven't heard anything from the courts yet. I saw a policeman yesterday when I was at the cathedral, and I was talking to him about like the legal name fraud, the consent of the governed, that we're policed by consent, and this act that he was trying to enforce on these kids wasn't a law unless they consented to it, and kind of blew his mind a bit. He was a sound guy though, and he was up for hearing it and up for listening to it, which is really hopeful and encouraging for me to know that there are people in the system waking up, because I know that there's about 2 billion people out of 7 billion incarnated at the moment that have chosen to wake up at this time. So we are a minority, but we're still enough to make a difference. And that's why I think people that are awake are kind of dotted around all over the place, and there's not necessarily that many other people awake around, because our minds are influencing thousands. So we have to be spread out in order to have the same effect, which can be quite difficult, but we've chosen to do it. So it's all quite exciting that everything's kind of accelerating at the moment. Everything's kind of speeding up. People are experiencing time going a lot quicker. Things that would have taken people perhaps years to achieve before are being achieved in a couple of weeks, couple of months now. And people are noticing the differences in the energies. It's like things are speeding up. So I kind of, after my trip the other day, I've kind of shifted my perspective slightly on the approach to the awakening that I'm coming with. So before, I was always really interested in the conspiracy stuff, but what I found is that a lot of it is all very fear-based stuff. So although I'm aware of what's going on, I don't think the focus should be on spreading fear, because if we've got the choice of fear and love, fear is a very low vibration that the elite purposefully keep us in to keep us easily controlled. So we've got this constant threat of terrorism or war or something like that, and that's why we've got all this CCTV, because they need to protect us from ourselves and shit like that, bastards. But anyway, there is no real threat apart from the governments. So I think the fact that my page has kind of blown up, and it's kind of received some attention from the high ups, I think, that they've kind of tried to sabotage me a little bit, but it's cool. I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep saying what I've got to say, because look how many people are agreeing. I know people are disagreeing, but I've got the majority of people that follow me agreeing with what I say, which is inspiring me and motivating me to keep doing this, because if you guys really want the truth, I've been studying this stuff now for nearly 10 years, and before, like, I couldn't get anyone to listen to me, and now the fact that people want to know, it's like people have this craving for the truth. Everyone knows that the TVs are lying to us and the radios are lying to us. And I see people getting really worked up about the kind of the genocide that's happening at the moment and the wars, and why it's happening. Now, we can sit down and argue forever about the conflicts that they've told us about and the religious arguments and all that bullshit, but really, if we want to know why it's happening, all we have to look at is who's profiting off of it. And what I've found is that you've got the same families and the same organisations funding both sides. They're paying for both sides of the killing, for their own agenda. So they've kind of put through the media that they own the media, so they can tell us whatever they want for why it's happening and who's responsible. And they're creating like fictions, like Al Qaeda, like ISIS. These are all government, and they're all put there on purpose to use in media stories, to tell us that it's nothing to do with the bankers. It's not the bankers doing it. It's not the Windsors doing it. The royal family. But if you look, like in history, for example, what I've noticed is people think it's it's the Queen. Okay, the Queen's gone everywhere, but we've already found out that the Queen was replaced with a bank, the Crown, by bankers, the Rothschilds, in the 1600s, guys. This is how long they've been fucking us over for. So they replaced the Queen with a corporation, didn't tell anybody, or made everyone think the Queen's still running shit. That's why her face is on our money and stuff. My mate actually thought that the Queen's face is on the money, therefore it's the Queen's money, so let's just go and give it back to her. And it doesn't work like that. But, I mean, if you look at what they've done around the world, so that's why my followers, I think, are from all over the world, because it's working. The Crown have got it in Canada, in New Zealand, in America, in Australia. It's kind of everywhere, which is why they've been forcing the English language everywhere, because the legal stuff only works in English. They can only trick us in English. So I've clocked onto that, but also what I clocked onto was when the English went over and discovered America. Okay, think about this then. Okay, how can English people, go over there and discover it if it's already got millions of Native Americans living there, and then they murdered all of them and claimed to have discovered it? Okay, so then they went over to Africa and stole a load of humans from Africa and brought them over to America and enslaved them and built their country. So English people built America on the genocide of one race and the enslavement of another race, and then they have the audacity to claim to be like the most powerful entity on the planet. Americans think they're different to English, like we're not running shit, because between the square mile city of London, Washington DC and Vatican, these elites are running everything. Like, and they've got everybody down at this level so distracted with different coloured people and like just really stupid childish things, like that you like once you're awake and you just think like, I'm embarrassed for your mentality. Like, you're a grown ass man or you're a grown ass woman. Like, sort your mind out, think for yourself. Like, you can't just accept what human beings are telling you, because they're lying. They're not telling you the truth, and it's fucking up the world. Like, we're killing the planet. Our kids, are not going to have the oil. Well, they're not going to have, like, how we get energy at the moment, which is everything is run on oil because they can profit off of that. Like, we've got the technology for renewable energy. Nikola Tesla gave us free energy, like, time ago. Like, in the 30s, I think. It might have been before. Do you know what I mean? And you just think, what are these guys doing, and how are we continuing to allow them to do it when we know they're lying, and we know the governments don't represent us? The governments are corporations, and guess who owns the corporations? The bankers. Guys, these guys are creating money out of thin air, and they're running the world. Like, people have taken them as God, and people can argue with me about that as much as they want, but as long as you're doing bad things for money instead of good things for love, you got it twisted, mate. Twisted. But I have to go do some yoga now.